Hi, I'm Patty Lane. Welcome or welcome back to 78 Reflections, and welcome to my very first Wobble reading. Well, actually, that's fake news. This is not my first Wobble reading. I've done a lot of Wobble readings, but it's my first one on camera. So I just ask for grace and patience as I navigate these cameras and everything that's going on here today. But what we're going to do today is we're going to dive into this unique tarot spread that is inspired by the Chariot card and was developed by the Mindful Tarot. I do have a separate video that I'll link in the description if you want me to talk to you a little bit more about what the spread's all about. But I think if you just hang in, you'll understand as we go along. In essence, we're exploring the balance between two competing energies that we're feeling today. And I'll walk you through the three cards of the spread, offer some insights, and how I think the cards are guiding me to navigating the energies. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's explore this together. So here we go. So I have pre-drawn the cards, so I don't have to shuffle and do all of that in addition to all of the camera stuff. At least for today, I've done it that way. And so the very first card that I drew, and the question I asked is, what is the energy for me today? And the card that came up is the Queen of Pentacles. I am going to consult my notes. So if you see me looking down, I did some journaling this morning after I drew these cards. So the Queen of Pentacles is careful and thoughtful use of resources, taking good care of those that are close to them as well as themselves, nurturing, generous, comforting. And if you look at this card, you can see this queen, or this queen, which is a witch. She is happy in nature. She's enjoying her spells and cauldron recipes. She is steady and pragmatic. She's at home in nature. She enjoys time alone and is rarely lonely. So the key words from the book are grounded, generous, magical, serene, nature lover. The shadow side of this card is pretentious, shallow, and melodramatic. The shadow side of this personality is that the normally grounded and steady person can suddenly become unglued during severe stress. This can result in erratic behavior, complete inertia, inability to make decisions, and even depression. So when I look at this card, I see simple abundance. If you look at that home in the background, it's not a mansion, but it's a nice home. She has her cauldron full of treasures and a kitty companion with its own little cauldron. I can see myself both depicted in this image. Substitute the cat for a dog, and also in the description, my home is quiet and serene. I love spending time in nature and exploring magic. And I can be very grounded and nurturing to the people I love. I spend a lot of time alone, and I am very rarely lonely. At the same time, I think I can also fall victim to the lizard brain, the amygdala, when I'm under pressure. Where am I supposed to hold this card? There we go. When I'm under pressure, I can feel myself not being all of those things, but rather, as the book described, the shadow side. I can definitely see that I can have erratic behavior. I can have inertia, depression, anxiety when I feel a lot of pressure. So I definitely see both sides of this card. For me, I do think that the Queen of Pentacles is showing up for me quite a lot lately. And I think of that as, almost a Mother Earth energy. So the second card, the competing energy, let me just pop up. There we go, our little queen. So this was the second card that I drew today. And this is the Nine of Pentacles. How am I doing here? It's harder than it looks. Is that blurry? There we go. I think I might hold it over here. So the Nine of Pentacles, I always think of this card as abundance. It's traditionally shown as a woman in this very lush environment. I always think of it as being like a winery. And she's enjoying abundance. She's relaxed into the abundance. And in this set of cards, I think the Queen of Pentacles is more giving off that energy. Whereas this card is showing us the shadow side of the Nine of Pentacles. And the book describes this as a special bird who has experienced financial success, however, has noticed that her idea of freedom and security may in fact be a cage in disguise. There are potential restrictions that accompany abundance. And what came to me when I was journaling about this card was about how keeping ourselves in a lifestyle we've become accustomed to comes at a cost, because there are actual costs, money, financial costs that mean, we have to have a job that pays a certain income, which usually means a certain level of pressure and responsibility. And that can sometimes feel like a cage. It's golden handcuffs. We have to work at a certain job to earn a certain amount of money to maintain our standard of living. But in addition to that, it's all the things that come with it. So I have a beautiful home. There is not just the cost of that home, there's also the work in maintaining the home and cleaning it and maintaining it and all of the things that come with home ownership. I have a beautiful teardrop trailer I love to go camping in, but there's work, effort, money that comes along with all of that. So for me, when I think about these two cards as competing energies, they both deal with the concept of abundance. But the Queen of Pentacles, if you look at the image, she's resting in simple abundance, whereas this bird is in a cage of her own making. So now that we've established the competing energies, we draw the third card, and the third card is there to inspire us to find a really good question that can help us navigate these competing energies. Now, my third card I have drawn from the Wild Unknown Tarot. And so I'm going to use these coffee and cards as a bit of a deck study, but maybe not in a traditional sense. I don't even know what a traditional deck study is, but what I'm going to do is draw 2 cards a day for the Wobble Reading and for 33 days. And then at the end of that, I'll have some cards left that I'll use for a final reading. But I'm then going to draw the third card from the Wild Unknown. And the third card that came up is the Seven of Cups, which is choices. Seven of Cups is that wonderful world of fantasy. It's dreaming, it's imagining, it's all possibilities. But there's also a need for discernment. It's a 7 card. 7 is for discernment. And there's an element of indecision often that comes along with the 7 of Cups. Lisa Pepez describes in her book, Unlocking the Tarot, instead of dreaming of one possible future, we're dreaming of 7. The idea that we can do anything leads us to doing nothing, and we get stuck. In the context of today's Wobble reading, the question that it brought up for me is, when you think about all of this abundance and all that you want to do and experience, I think that the question to navigate the energy between the simple abundance and the caged abundance is, what matters most? What's most important? Where do I want to put my time, my energy, my resources so that I am resting in abundance and hopefully avoiding spending too much time in that cage? Because I do believe that that cage is a cage of our own doing and a cage of our own creation. So there we go. We have the 3 cards. Now, for every other day, that's where I'm going to stop. For my very first reading, I couldn't help myself but take it one step further. And that's because I went to the Mindful Tarot's Zoom, community Zoom on Saturday, and she taught us another spin to this, and it's adding 2 more cards. So these are the 3 cards we have right now. We have the Queen of Pentacles, which was the first card. That's our energy. The competing energy was the 9 of Pentacles. And then in the middle, a really good question that we had was about choices and what's most important. So the Judgment spread builds off the Chariot. So you can see on the screen, and I've put a square there in blue that shows you the chariot spread. So the Chariot spread is in the middle there, and then we're just going to add 2 cards, the 4 and the 5. So there we go. Through the magic of technology, I've put those cards in there. So you can see card number 4 at the bottom, that's me. That's the querent. So that's, where am I at today in relation to this energy? And then at the top, card number 5, that's the calling. And so we're going to do that just for today. Normally, we're just going to do the chariot reading, but today we're just going wild with those extra cards. So I did draw the 4th card, and what came up for me is the King of Cups. So when I think of the King of Cups, I think of emotional stability. The key word or phrase I use is safe harbor. And going into the book for this deck, the king is deep in thought, strolling along the ocean side, enjoying his free time. As a shadow side, the king can be too detached and cut off from others and come across as cold and distant. And so looking at this image, it does look like kind of a cold day based on the sky and based on what he's wearing. And you can see he's just kind of meandering along, doing his own thing. And I definitely relate to the King of Cups. I would say more so the shadow side. I don't necessarily feel super emotionally stable. I've been really tired. But in terms of just like kind of meandering along and doing my own thing, I do think that. And I also think I can be, emotionally detached at times just because I want to do my own thing. So let's put that card in. Technical difficulties. We're back. Okay, so we've got me, which is the King of Cups, wandering around, kind of doing his own thing, a little bit emotionally distant. So what's the calling then? What's that last card at the top, card 5? So you can see if you look at the image, she's still following the image. So the 5th card at the top is that angel, which is our calling. And the card that came up for me was the Seeker. which is the Fool card. So the Fool card is that carefree person taking a leap of faith. It's about new beginnings. It's about trust. And just reading from the guidebook about this particular card, we have standing on top of a mountain. The Fool, also referred to as a seeker, is prepared for a journey, complete with suitcase, companion, and appropriate attire for the weather. It's a beautiful sunny day, perfect for a good start to the adventure. There seems to be a small catch. The seeker has lost his head with all the excitement. I don't know if you can see, but his head is on the ground beside his suitcase there. The seeker has lost his head with all the excitement, possibly due to overthinking the situation. So, not sure which way to go, he asks his cat, a symbol of instinct, for the way forward. So that's the seeker. And there we go. I'll put it on the screen so I don't have to hold that card up. When I was journaling about this morning, was, first of all, I love getting the Fool card. I always consider it a gift when I get the Fool card, and I especially consider it as a calling. And as I'm, jumping into these Wobble readings and doing them, trying to post them daily, and I'm embracing a 30-day adventure, the Fool card tells me to pack lightly. Only bring what I need. Don't overthink it. Don't lose my head. It's really easy to overplan, overthink, and then become overwhelmed and lose perspective. And then putting it back into the context for this Wobble reading today, the calling of the seeker is telling me that, our really good question was to determine what's most important and to work towards living in simple abundance rather than the abundance that puts us into a cage. And so thinking about what's really important. And then layering the seeker on top of that, it's about some things that I've been really working on this year, which is how do I keep it simple and how do I make it joyful? And so not looking too far into the future and enjoying the journey as well as the destination. So I hope you enjoyed this judgment reading with me, and the daily readings will be a little bit shorter because they will be just the Wobble portion. But for the first reading, I couldn't help myself. I really wanted to go all out and do the judgment reading. And I would be really curious to know if this reading resonated with you at all, if you could relate to any of these, to these energies, to these competing energies, they show up for you in your life. But I am going to move on with my day now, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow in our next Wobble reading. Until then.